What's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you for an ML Sports Take. It's all brought to you by Rosie's Corner here on a Fish Friday. The coleslaw, the mac and cheese to die for, and the French fries are an option as well. Pizza wing combinations for any and all events today and tomorrow. Terrific stuff. The garlic parm wings, gold fever, the regulars, hot, mild, etc. Just an unbelievable array of chicken wing choices. And of course, the pizzas come in small, medium, large, sheet. Come on down to Rosie's Corner today and tomorrow for all the games. Get all your food right off the Bartell Road exit in Brewerton on Route 11 here if you're in and around central New York. And don't forget, gift cards are available for any occasion, and you can download the Slice app and order right from there as well. Hot and cold subs, salads and drinks and all the rest, and desserts to go. Just a terrific place at Rosie's Corner. I'm actually sitting, there's some new chairs here at Rosie's. These are pretty nice cushion. Back feels nice in this thing. Boy, this is going to be great doing videos in these things. What is next for Gonzaga, right? Like, what is next for this program? They have knocked on the proverbial championship door multiple times the last few years. And I remember back in the late 90s when Gonzaga kind of came onto the national scene as a Cinderella. And then they kept going, and it kept creating the expectation. It kept creating the phenomenon and the juggernaut that they have been, to the point where Mark Few can get recruits. He can out-recruit Duke. He out-recruits Michigan State. He out-recruits a pile of Power 5 programs, and it just hasn't worked in order to win a national championship. They've been to Final Fours. I actually picked them this year to win the whole thing. I thought this was their year. Last year, I thought they had a really good team. You know, you look at the players that they've had in the past. You look at Ayayi. You look at Jalen Suggs. You look at Adam Morrison. You look at all these players. They've had great players, great teams, super high recruits, but nothing like this year's team even. I mean, and that's saying something. But, God, those teams are really good. Those players good. But not like this. This team had the probably most difficult guy to guard in the country in Drew Timme, who can go inside and outside. He's kind of like a European player, and they play a lot of Euro-style basketball on offense with the passing and the cutting and some of the the way their forwards are technically and mechanically. He was unstoppable. He won the West Coast Conference Player of the Year award this year. Then you look at Chet Holmgren, who's a 7-footer who can nail three-pointers. He's a stick, but he's a great player. He's got great hands. He's a terrific passer. You had Nembhard as well in the backcourt, right? Like, you had 2-3 pieces coming off the bench. You know, this Gonzaga team, I mean, is it going to get better for them? I don't know. I mean, are they going to, maybe they lose everybody and then next year get back to the Final Four, because that's just how sports work. You know, sometimes the best teams in your school's history don't win a championship or don't make a Final Four, and others do, because just kind of the lay of the land, right? The matchups and how things work. Maybe a couple teams got upset. Maybe you got a couple of breaks along the way. But here's the thing. I got to mention something that really pisses me off. I love Tony Kornheiser. I've respected him for a long time. I've read him. I've listened to him. His radio show was amazing back in the day. His podcast is incredible right now. He's been obviously a superstar on PTI for, 20 years running. I mean, I'm a big fan. I think he's great. I met him once at the Turning Stone. He wasn't pleasant when I met him, but I still like him. And he's an iconic media guy. However, iconic media guys still get some things wrong, okay? This opinion that he's had, and he's driven home literally for 2 or 3 years now. I've heard it so many times, and tonight it's going to be the same shit on PTI, and I'm sure I got his podcast loaded up ready to go. He's going to say it on that too. His argument is that Gonzaga loses in the NCAA tournament, okay? They lose in the tournament because they don't play anybody in their own conference. For a couple of months stretch, they don't play anybody. Well, I beg to differ. St. Mary's is a tournament team really good every year. That's kind of a mini rivalry, so to speak, with Gonzaga. You got San Francisco, and you've got BYU. Those teams pretty much every year are really, really good. Now, look, is the West Coast Conference top-heavy with those clubs? Sure. But when you look at the reality of the situation, a lot of conferences are like that. sometimes, right? I mean, the ACC was down as a whole this year across the board. You could argue the top-heavy teams in the West Coast Conference were better than the ACC. And here's the other thing. Gonzaga plays people before the conference slate starts. They're always playing Duke. They're always scheduling games against other premier programs in college basketball. And so you fast forward to the NCAA tournament, I could give a rip who you play in the non-con. I could give a rip who you play in the conference schedule. It's not about that. You know what it's about? It's about today. It's about that game, that person, that venue, that time zone, that style, that everything, right? Those players preparing for that day. You win, you go on. You lose, you go home. And that's what makes it so difficult, just like the NFL playoffs. Look at St. Peter's. They went ahead and beat Kentucky, right? And then beat Murray State to validate that. They're in the Sweet 16. They play tonight. Kentucky played everybody. Kentucky played way more competitive teams during the year than St. Peter's did, but on that given day, St. Peter's took them out. Richmond, Iowa, 12-5 seeds, right? Matchup. Who do you think played more quality, better teams? Iowa by a long shot. Now, again, that's no disrespect to the A-10, my conference, because of these guys. But good grief. I mean, the argument goes right down the proverbial shitter for Tony Kornheiser when you try to use that, oh, well, they don't play anybody. They played everybody in the non-con. They played a really good conference, top-heavy-wise, in terms of those teams I mentioned. It was that day they lost, but what's next for this program? I don't know if it's going to get better from a roster standpoint than it was this year. Those three guys, the starting five, the few guys coming off the bench, Mark Few's been knocking on the door. He deserves a championship. He's a great head coach. Man, you have to start thinking now about Gonzaga. Like, are they ever going to do this? And you don't want to say never because that's just stupid in sports. Although, as a Bills fan, I've been starting to wonder if I'm ever going to see a Super Bowl championship or just a championship in Buffalo sports overall. I mean, either them or the Sabres. Anyway, I don't know. I think Gonzaga is, it's brutal. Arkansas is a really good team. I picked them to the Final Four last year. I should have picked them this year to the Elite Eight at least, Final Four. I love Eric Musselman as head coach, but man, Gonzaga, another failure in the NCAA tournament. And what's next for them? Could be trouble, when they lose all these guys. But we'll see. You never know in college hoops. You never know in sports. I'm just going to sit here for a little bit in my comfy chair at Rosie's Corner. Fish Friday, stop by today. Pizza, wings galore, you name it. They've got it all here at Rosie's Corner. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports. And as I always tell you, enjoy the games.